monkeys. They've been vilified for a very long time in media. From King Kong to Planet of the Apes, from Ape Escape to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, simians have gotten a really bad rap. This always made me think I was destined to be a villain, which, I mean, is partially true.
I've done some very horrible, unspeakable things.
Hey.
There's one ape that came to power in the video game scene that turned the tide in favor of positive simian characters, one that seems unlikely considering that he was previously a villain. But he swooped in and stole my heart, starring in one of my favorite video games ever made. And that game is Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country is a 1994 platformer developed by Rareware and published by Nintendo. In it, you play as our titular hero, Donkey Kong, who along with his friend Diddy, must take back their stolen bananas from King K. Rool and the Kremlings.
But Ape of the Hour, Donkey Kong Country is just a rip-off of Super Mario Bros.
That's something I've heard from many people who dislike the Donkey Kong Country series over the years, and all those people had one thing in common.
They didn't live very long after they made that statement.
While Donkey Kong Country is certainly inspired by the platformers of its day, it is unique in its style and execution. There are many platformers that I would say are Mario-like, but I wouldn't say there are many that are like Donkey Kong Country. There are just certain aspects about this game that make it really special. Allow me to elaborate. 1. Aesthetic. Donkey Kong Country's characters in-game were made using silicon graphic workstations that compress 3D models into 2D sprites, whatever that means. But for the time it was very revolutionary because it gave the illusion of 3D characters. Even today I still enjoy the look of Donkey Kong Country. Aside from the sprites, the jungle levels look verdant, the water levels are subdued, the cave levels are dark and creepy looking. There's just so much life that was brought into this world from the artists at Rare. Kev Bayless is of course responsible for the redesign of Donkey Kong and the creation of Diddy Kong, whose designs have become iconic and remain to this very day. It just goes to show that redesigns can be a good thing and can breathe new life into a classic character. I'm looking at you, Crash Bandicoot fans. 2. Features. While in Mario games there are collectibles like coins and 1-ups, Donkey Kong Country has a lot more. You collect bananas, which if you collect 100 of them, you get a 1-up. You collect balloons, to which you get a 1-up with each one. You collect Kong tiles that give you a 1-up if you collect all 4 of them in a level. You collect these Animal Buddy statues that give you the chance to get more 1-ups. Basically, if Donkey Kong isn't an immortal beast by the end of your playthrough, you've done something wrong.
No man can kill me.
By the way, the Animal Buddies are a great addition too, considering that they have a lot of different playstyles. Rambi can charge through enemies and break down barriers. Unguard is basically the same, but underwater. Winky can jump to great heights, Squawks illuminates the way for you in the dark, and Espresso can flutter, kind of. The only thing I don't like so much is that the Animal Buddies can't come with you to each level like Yoshi could in Super Mario World. Finally, the Kongs themselves have different abilities as well. Donkey Kong is really buff, meaning he can take out stronger enemies like Clump and Crusher, and he can break barriers, but he is also a bit slow. Diddy is much faster, but he can't dispatch the same enemies without barrels. This can be interesting because you need to consider which Kong you want to play as, and you can switch between the two when you feel like it. But Kong also acts like a bonus life, so this means you gotta be a little bit careful about which Kong you pick and what enemies you are going to be facing in a level too. There's a little bit of strategy there. Finally, 3. The score. David Wise, I would do anything for that man. He did an amazing job on this soundtrack. Absolutely fantastic. It's groovy, it's calm, it's atmospheric, it can be jaunty. I just love it. It's so good. Like, if you don't like the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack, I don't want to be your friend. Sorry, but them's the raps, okay? You have to love it. Additionally, the sound design is iconic in this game too. The little sound that plays when you collect bananas is very satisfying. When you hit or jump on an enemy, the sound that they make and the connection of the hit just feels really cool. It's almost like there's this rhythm that you have when attacking enemies. It's really great. The sound design itself just lends another great layer to this game and gives it a texture, a good feel. It's just so unique. And I feel that's what not many platformers of this time and later would be able to replicate, other than, of course, other Donkey Kong Country games. Donkey Kong Country really established itself as a unique platformer whose style and charm endure to the present day. It's a game that inspired many people to like apes and monkeys, which I'm always appreciative of, and also inspiring plenty of game developers and fans. Donkey Kong has become one of my favorite video game characters, and I really owe it to Rare for making him that way. I really love this game, and I can't recommend it enough. Alright, I think I've said my piece. I'm done here. Thank you for watching as always, and
Not so fast.
Donkey Kong, what are you doing here?
I heard what you were saying, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think about my TV show?